Alright, what's going on, people? Welcome to the Ring Roadmap, and today I'm just gonna talk about the move of Vergil Ortiz to move to Eddie Reynoso, I should say, apparently, and leaving Robert Garcia for a new training camp. Now, I'm gonna explain to you guys why I think this is a bad move. First of all, okay, Vergil has a style that really is perfect for a trainer like Robert Garcia. And if you look at the fighters that Eddie Reynoso handled, most of them ended up getting worse when they were with Eddie Reynoso. Now you may say it takes time to get used to a new camp and all of this bullshit. Well, first of all, I understand staying stagnant, okay, not having any improvements. But getting worse is something that you can point that out to the trainer right away, because you can go to a trainer and he can teach you the old stuff. He can just teach you the same shit and you won't improve. And I understand that, but getting worse is where I would draw the line. The reason why is because I wouldn't want to be with the trainer that I expect to improve my game, and then later on I ended up getting worse. So that's the first reason why. Second reason why I don't want Vergil Ortiz to go with Eddie Reynoso is because his defense is already sharp, and I don't really think Eddie Reynoso will teach him anything new. Now, a lot of people looked at the Morris Hooker fight and say that Vergil Ortiz has a habit of blocking punches with his face. I don't really think about it that way. First of all, Hooker was a much longer fighter with a great jab, okay? And so naturally, the fighter who's not used to that kind of fighter or to that kind of opponent will be bruised after the fight. But if you look at the next fight against Mean Machine, his face looked a little bit cleaner, and his head movement is subtle, but it's there, okay? He already has head movement, he already has footwork, he already has defense into his game. So why go to Eddie Reynoso to try to fix that shit? And besides, a lot of the fighters that Eddie Reynoso handles, their defense ends up looking worse or staying the same, like Oscar Valdez, you know. Although I would say that against Vergil, Oscar Valdez looked great. Why? Because Vergil was tailor-made for a brawler like Oscar Valdez. But what about if they face a non-boxer? A lot of Canelo's or a lot of Eddie Reynoso's fighters have troubles against outboxers, including Canelo. And tomorrow we're gonna see if that is gonna play out against Caleb Plant. I personally think Canelo would still edge that one out, but in the first couple of rounds, Caleb Plant may give him some trouble. The reason why is because Eddie Reynoso's fighters are naturally they have troubles against outboxers, historically speaking, okay? If you look at the Oscar Valdez fight against Conceição, well, you're gonna see the same thing. And so, here's the thing. Well, I personally think that Vergil will be better when he's with Reynoso than when he's with RGBA. I don't think so. I think he's better off with RGBA because they know Vergil's style pretty well, and they're teaching him defense. Let's not act like Robert Garcia is not teaching any defense, because I think we have that reputation with like Robert or with Antonio Margarito and Brandon Rios. I think we have that built-in reputation, or we have that assumption of Robert Garcia that somehow he doesn't teach defense and all this shit. But if you actually look at the earlier fights of Vergil Ortiz, and even his fights against Hooker and Mean Machine, well, you're gonna see some head movement, you're gonna see some footwork, you're gonna see some forward pressure, you're gonna see some great offense. And I think that's just much better with Robert Garcia than with Eddie Reynoso. I'm sorry about that. I don't necessarily think that he will look so bad with Eddie Reynoso. I just think that it's not going to improve much. And Eddie Reynoso doesn't really have anything to offer that is new to Vergil Ortiz. That's just my opinion. The only benefit that the training with Eddie Reynoso may have on Vergil Ortiz is that he's going to train alongside Canelo and other dudes like Oscar Valdez. And this may cause him to have healthy competition and to have an environment where everyone is pushing themselves. However, technically speaking, technique-wise, improvement-wise, I don't think this is gonna make him a super great fighter. I think that he's still better off with Robert Garcia, but that healthy competition with Canelo and Oscar Valdez and Ryan Garcia, I'm not sure if Ryan Garcia is still at the Canelo's camp, but maybe he is, right? I think that's gonna help him. But technique-wise, there's really nothing new that Eddie Reynoso can teach Vergil Ortiz. A lot of people argue that, well, it takes time to adapt to a new trainer and all this stuff. No, first of all, what do you mean by adopt? Do you mean learn new techniques? Because we're talking about learning new techniques. That typically takes 2 to 3 months. Okay, so let's say I do a particular drill today. In about 2 to 3 months, I'm gonna apply that in my sparring. I'm gonna apply that in my fights. That's gonna be a built-in habit of mine. That's gonna turn into muscle memory, and then the muscle memory will just do the work when I start fighting. Okay, so the drills that Eddie Reynoso makes his fighters do and the training that he makes his fighters do, even though their style doesn't go from 50 to 100 real quick, we should see some improvements. But the problem is we haven't seen that improvement. And we've only seen it in Canelo. And you have to remember, Canelo has been with Eddie Reynoso since he was, what, 15 years old, 16 years old? I can't remember the story. But I'm sure he's been with Reynoso for a long time. I think that's the only way to benefit with Reynoso, to be with him for a long time. Because if you're going to be with him at the middle of your career where you've already taught a particular style, the Robert Garcia style, and then you're going to get worse. In my opinion, you're going to get worse. So that was it. I think this is a bad move for Vergil. I still wish the best of luck for him. You have to remember, guys, I made a film study on Vergil when he was still a prospect, when nobody knew who the fuck this guy was. When everybody was saying that he was fighting bums, I was already doing breakdowns on this guy. So I'm really high on him. I hope he gets the big fight soon, and I hope Reynoso teaches him something new. I hope Reynoso proves me wrong and make Vergil much greater than he currently is. Right now, I think he's better with Robert Garcia. That's just how it is, stylistically speaking. Robert Garcia has much more to teach him. Anyway, that was it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys soon, man. Peace out. Good luck to Vergil.